Okay.
Oh, that's great.
Nate Behar, let's bring him in here. Nate, thanks for sitting through that. London, Ontario product. How you doing, sir?
I'm very well. How you doing?
Good, good. Thanks for coming on with us. Where are you joining us from today, by the way? Are you in London?
I'm in Ottawa.
You're in. Oh, beautiful. How are things in Ottawa these days, CFL aside?
Not bad. It's pretty beautiful out. Fall's in the air a little bit. Leaves are changing, but things are good.
That is a beautiful city this time of year, no doubt.
Absolutely.
Nate, so you're a free agent. You have a little bit of different view on all this. I put you in that category of the Derek Dennises and the Darrell Walkers, right, and the Jeff Hecks and all those guys. So you've been sitting here watching what's unfolded with the CFL. From your perspective, how are you doing? And what's your plans for the immediate and distant future?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all right. I got 2 feet in a heartbeat, so that's always the first step. Yeah, I mean, the things and how it all unfolded, slightly, I guess, unfortunate in some ways. I think it's been well documented and whatnot. Some of the frustrations of players, just in terms of what we felt like was a lack of communication in certain ways, in certain aspects, and that's always tough. It's not nice to, and I hope nobody has to go through reading about their profession or their career through Twitter rather than actual emails from the stakeholders involved. That was always a tough part, but I mean, a lot of me, I think, expected it. Not to be an eternal pessimist, but with everything going on in the world, it was tough to imagine a way that it was going to get worked out. And I hear it was close, which in a lot of it kind of surprises me, to be honest. I heard that it was really, very, very, very close. But it is what it is. I mean, the thing I like to keep saying is, like, there's so many people that have lost so much more through this global pandemic, including their actual lives, that, like, it's hard to cry from where I stand as a 25-year-old about losing a football season. I've been lucky enough to have over 18 of them. So it's tough, but it's life.
Well, Nate, let me say this, and for those that don't know, although if you're a CFL fan, you will. 2017 and 2018, Nate was with Edmonton, first-round pick in 2017 draft, and then you spent 2019 with the Ottawa Redblacks. Look, I'm an eternal optimist, and I say, if I open my eyes in the morning, it's a win. Everything moving forward is a bonus. So I get where you're coming from. I don't think you're pessimistic with your outlook. You were realistic. You were ready for there not to be a season. But your teammates and other pro players in college as well, and amateur players are struggling right now. You must be talking to some of those guys too. Are you helping them out?
I mean, yeah, it's tough. I think football becomes so much of who you are. Especially it's such an immersive sport. There's no real off season. You can't really detach. You're full in the weight room and everything. So I think it can be definitely tough for guys to kind of feel like that identity and that part of them has been taken away for, even if it's temporary for a year. Try your best. I mean, I think guys have got they've got a good idea. A lot of guys are working on their side hustles and stuff like that. Especially a lot of guys I've been chatting with, they've got some other things going on, and that's always awesome to hear and see, because that's not just going to help them just for this year, this break we're taking, but life after that. And that's the stuff that you want to hear. And that's the stuff that makes you happy. It makes me happy as a colleague of theirs.
For sure. But you know what? I've been doing this gig a long time. And when I ask players, whether it's on the air or off, if you weren't playing football, what would you be doing? You wouldn't believe how many are stumped, Nate. Mm-hmm. You know that, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, and just one sec, Lynch. I'm going to turn the Hall of Fame rider broadcaster loose on you here, Nate, with some football questions. But Clark had brought up he said you're a wordsmith, almost a poet. Talk about your side hustle and, how you're filling time and scratching your itch, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a couple things on the go. So just this, we're in week 2 right now of my Formula 11 football camps. So I started those in London, Ontario, my first year as a rookie after my first year. And then the last 2 years I've been running them in Ottawa with my my co-founder, my co-head coach, or whatever you want to call it, Justin Howell, who's defensive back with the Ottawa Redblacks, and I played with him for 3 years at Carleton. I'm in the process of launching. We're just starting our beta round with a tech company I founded called Autonomy Marketing. That's a rabbit hole that would take a whole long time to go through, so we don't need to chat about that on air. And then the big one, I think the one that's probably gotten the most, that I've spoken about the most and all that, would be the writing and all that that's been going on, which has been fun. It's been cathartic. which has been important and the most meaningful part of it to me through this pandemic. And everything that's been going on in the media. But it's good. I mean, it's never something I thought I would really share. I've always written a little bit, and I've always been inclined to the arts and stuff like that. But I never thought it'd be something out there. So it's been a weird few months, feeling almost, I feel a little like my guards down and the shield's not protecting me anymore, and I'm a little exposed, putting stuff like that out there. But it's also felt great, and the response has been incredible and very supportive, and that means a lot.
Well, good for you. Where can people read your stuff?
So I guess my main piece that sort of launched it was To Pimp a Movement, which was you can find on medium.com, or just Google it, and then done a piece for CBC, and did a Canada Day poem for them as well at CBC, and then one with Uninterrupted.
Cool. All right, man. Proud of you. Good for you. Okay, here's the football questions, right, Lynch? Okay. What do you got for Nate Behar?
Nate, a tough time to come into the CFL with all the confusion out there. We don't know what's going on. It's unsettled up there. How are things in Ottawa with the guys you talk to, the players there and the media? Is there a good feeling toward football, optimistic going into 2021, or is it wait and see?
I think so. I have a pretty awesome strength coach who has got a good roster of guys of all ages, university guys up to guys who are prospects going forward, some defense or D1 guys, I should say. And everybody's shifted their focus, but in a positive way that I've spoken to, at least. A lot of people have the mindset of like, okay, well, instead of a 6-month off season, I have an 18-month one, or now I guess it'd be 9 or 10 months. So how can I use that to benefit myself and push myself forward for 2021? And that makes me happy to hear, is that people haven't shut down. They're kind of, how can I make this work for me, and how can this benefit me the most? And so that gives me some hope. And same with talking to the Carleton guys and even some of the U Ottawa guys that I know, as much as I don't like to talk to those U Ottawa guys. Everyone seems to be taking that outlook, and that's good to see.
Have you talked to the Ottawa coaching staff, the head coach, etc., and anybody there?
Yeah, not super recently. Used to see him around, especially I lived around Lansdowne and all that, pretty frequently. But since the pandemic, not as much. But that's life. It's whenever football's ready to be played, then the guys who want to play it will go and play it.
Exactly. Hey, by the way, so from Colin in Ottawa, he's one of our biggest, we call him P1s, Priority 1 viewers, watches every day, and he's got one for you. Ask Nate what it was like to revive the Carleton University football team and starting a new tradition with my alma mater. P.S. Maybe he can talk about the 2014 Panda game Hail Mary he witnessed very closely. What do you remember about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, reviving that program was the reason I went there. I'll never forget. Forgot I even had the meeting with Coach Samara in, I guess it would have been 2012 or 2013. And he showed up at my doorstep at like 9 p.m. I was like, I don't even know if I know who you are. And then an hour later in my head, the bug had been planted, and like the Christopher Nolan movie Inception, he had committed his Inception on me, and the roots and the tree just blossomed in my head and took over, because it was the opportunity to do that and start something new was amazing. It was tough though. It was tough, Colin. I mean, going into it, kind of knowing you get your butt whooped for a full year, and then then you meet the guys, you're like, oh, we're talented, maybe we'll win one. And then it's 8 straight drubbings. I mean, that was tough, but as it progressed, even just from that first to second year, like you're talking about with the Panda game, was the gratification that made it all worth it. Getting to win that one on the national stage, and have that, especially in such historic and kind of momentous fashion, was pretty special, and made us all. It gave you that pat on the back that like, okay, this is why we made this decision. It's still not easy yet. We're still struggling through it, but like we know that the light at the end of the tunnel is pretty damn rewarding.
Please tell the football people out here in Western Canada what that Panda game is all about. Like, we were there with the Riders playing the Red Blacks the next day one time, and I was like, driving by the stadium on the Saturday, it was full. TD's place was full. Lynch, you got to listen to this. Explain the Panda game to Western Canadian football fans that don't get it, Nate.
Yeah, absolutely. So Carleton and Ottawa U, north side of the river, south side of the river. It's as old as the universities almost. It's been 20 to 25,000 for 5 or 6 straight years. Everybody's there. The city kind of shuts down and braces for impact as on game day. You can feel the energy in the air, and it's good, loud football. Like, you come into that tunnel, and it's a pretty deafening sound, and that 20 or 25,000 sounds like 60 or 80. Some years when one team has definitely been maybe quote unquote better than the other, it doesn't matter. it always ends up being close because of how electric that space is, and that's what makes it fun.
Oh, yeah. And I just remember, I don't know why, if we were going to walk through or what, but before the game, I'm seeing kids being pulled out of bushes and people wandering down the street like noon, like they're tailgating. It's an NFL feel. Like, it's wild. So anyways, Nate, thanks for this. Pleasure to make your acquaintance. I feel like we could get on well. Good luck with everything that you got going. I hope to see you on the field soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you guys for the questions.
All right, Nate Behar joining us, Ottawa, Edmonton football alum, and of course, when the CFL returns, you know he will be a part of it.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.